Hello, Kenku. So today, I want to talk about one of the scariest things about being a game master, and that's screwing up. We all do it. It sucks. It does not feel good when it happens, but if you run role-playing games long enough, you are bound to screw up at some point. But really, you're going to start by screwing up. You're going to screw up in the beginning, in the middle, in the end. It's just going to happen all the time. And it's really about how you manage those expectations of what you're doing, how you're doing it, and pretty much just how the players interact with you and how you interact with the players as you screw up. It's just going to happen all the time. And it doesn't feel good. It feels really bad when it happens. But you have to get through it, otherwise you're never going to play. If you're too afraid to screw up, which is really the biggest thing, whether it's, not writing something good or a rules call or how you interact with your players, or no matter what, it's going to happen. And yeah, so I want to talk about that. As a precursor, I do have a story today, but as a precursor, I recently got to play in a home game again, and as a player, and yeah, we started off the game, role played a bit, had a little bit of fun, but when we got into the first encounter, there was immediately a misunderstanding between what the game master was describing and what we as the players understood. And there was this grinding moment of just frustration for the players, for the game master. The game master doesn't want to screw up, doesn't want people to be upset, wants people to have fun. And for me, it was an extremely cathartic event. And just like with all the mistakes I make, because they're gonna happen, to then get to watch someone else make a mistake. And it's not like schadenfreude. It's not enjoying someone else's suffering, but seeing that it happens, seeing that mistakes happen, and that we all want to get through it. Like, we all want to have had the experience and then just figure it out and move on. And so, yeah, like to get to be on the other side of the screen as the mistake is happening, it was humanizing, and it was a reminder of we're all human. So yeah, I got to have this experience of being on the other side, like a day or two, maybe 5 days. Anyways, just very shortly after, I had a massive mistake in one of my games. And yeah, that's what this story is going to be about. So it's a newer campaign, but the players have been playing together for a couple years now. So we're very familiar with each other. We know how each other plays. We know relatively what players enjoy, but it's always unknown. You don't know everyone perfectly ever. In this game, I gave out a very chaotic magic item. It is a wizard spellbook of a really old wizard that studies chaos magic and potential and all that sort of stuff. And so reading from the wizard spellbook at this point allows a character to expend a spell slot, and then depending on the spell slot level, they are given a random option of that many spells. So first level slot gives you 1 random spell. Fifth level spell slot gives you 5 random spells to select from. And this is 1st through 9th. Like, this is all of the spells. Whatever selections you're given, you have to choose one. It may be helpful in the moment, it may not be, but you have to choose one. Or if you don't, you can hold back the magic and take raw, unmitigated damage of trying to hold back the chaos. And in this case, you will be taking 1d10 damage per spell. So Spending a higher level spell slot gives you more options, but spending a higher level spell slot, if you can't use those options and you don't want to release one of them, could do more damage. Players are highly enjoying this spellbook. It's a lot of chaos, but it's a lot of fun. With that, we get to the end of a session. I am wrapping down the session. It is very late for some of the players. We're playing online, so we have multiple time zones. And so it's at the very end, and someone says, I want to read from the book one last time. They spend a first level spell slot, it's all they have, and the spell option they get is Contact Other Plane. Now, Contact Other Plane is a divination spell that allows you to get some yes or no answers, or it might even be open-ended answers. Either way, you get some answers from something beyond this realm. However, you might go mad doing it. So you have to make a DC 15 intelligence saving throw. Mind you, these are very low-level characters. They're like 4th level. You have to make the saving throw, or you take something crazy like 68 damage, 8d6 damage, 5d6. It's up there. It's up there. So the player decides to do it. The player fails his intelligence saving throw. Rather, the character fails the intelligence saving throw. I roll the damage. The damage is high enough to bring him to 0 and then still be greater than his maximum hit points, which is insta-death. Now, this is bad. This is especially bad because I have not mentioned that we have already spoken about this rule during the game. They were attacking some monsters, and due to vulnerability to fire, our wizard throwing Firebolt was incinerating some of these monsters. They were dust mephits, was incinerating them with a single hit, insta-dead. Now, before we rolled for the intelligence saving throw, before we decided to actually cast the spell, the player had asked to clarify that rule. And I did not understand the question that they asked. I did not understand the meaning behind how they phrased the question. They wanted to know if there was a chance of them dying immediately based off of the average of the die roll, the minimum of the die roll, all those sorts of things. And what he had intended in asking was it even a possibility? With his current, with his hit points, with his maximum, was it even a possibility? Not even a high or low, was it a possibility? And he was under the understanding that you had to be double your max hit points, not get to 0 and then have maximum left over. So if you have 18 hit point maximum, you're currently at 9, you're looking at 27 points of damage, not 36. And that was not properly communicated. So we roll the dice, he fails the intelligence save, I roll the damage, I narrate his soul getting sucked into the book, and there is immediately this moment of, oh, I didn't mean that. I did not understand. And so this is a panicking moment. Typical game master advice says whenever there's a misunderstanding, it is on the game master, not in fault, but if there is a fundamental misunderstanding, that the player should not be punished for it. So I tried to kind of roll back, but the player is also of the mindset that if they screw up, there are consequences. They are a player that enjoys that aspect of the game. And so I try to roll back, but I can't roll back because the player's already audibly saying that I screwed up. And they are very accepting of that. But then there's this nasty feeling in your mouth of like, well, do you deserve this? And so I'm thinking, and as I'm trying to come up with a response to this situation, the players are talking. And the next bit of typical game master advice is when there's a problem, pull a player aside, have a private conversation, be very, open and honest, and just, figure something out. But I can't do that now because all of the players are talking, they're all giving their opinions, they are like, well, even if it had been that selection, like we all kind of would have done it anyways for the risk of the dice, for the enjoyment. And like, as all the players are getting involved in this conversation, they pull the player aside. It's like, this is a group thing now. Like, this is now a group thing, so that doesn't really work out. I try to like, okay, well, you dying isn't good just because there was a misunderstanding of the die. We still want consequences. Maybe the book gets sucked away. That is not a good answer. The players love the book. They would rather characters die than get rid of the book because it's that much fun. So like, that's not a good answer. And like, we're all tired. For some of the players, it's midnight. It's late. And what do we do? What do we do? Well, we close out the game. I say something about trying to figure out a narrative forward with the character's backstory and this and that, and we let it set. Because when in doubt, when you have a problem, walk away from the problem. Like, if you're already spilling all of the paint, stop picking up paint cans, that sort of thing. But I then spend the next week ruminating on this because every answer doesn't feel good. Don't do anything. Have this be a consequence. Have that be a consequence. Consequences, not punishments. That's an important thing. So whatever answer doesn't taste good. It leaves just this foul aftertaste of, well, we could this, we could that. And I'm just sitting on this. So I'm sitting on this for a week. Most of the way through that week, I then have this personal experience of being a player with a mistake, and then getting to see that catharsis of everyone makes mistakes. And eventually, our next game comes. I get to speak with the player. The player is perfectly fine. Yes, he still wanted to play the character. Yes, like he's not ready to give up the character, but he's willing to because those are the consequences. But he's not upset. He is completely like willing to, I made a mistake. This world is dangerous. This world is chaotic. Like the idea of if you know the exact answers to everything and like, oh yes, this will do a lot of damage, but my character can survive it, so it doesn't matter. Like those ideas, like also don't feel good. So like he's willing to just go with it. And having wonderful, accepting players makes everything so much easier. And, I explain what I've been thinking about, what I've been going through, and then the players are like, oh, we didn't realize that this was an issue for you. We like, if anything, it should be an issue for the player who had the situation, but they're seeing me. It's like, oh, this, you've been worried about this far more than we have. And so, yeah, like mistakes are gonna happen. And depending on the perspective, they matter differently. They matter differently to different people for different reasons, and the layers of why they matter. And in the end, yes, multiple misunderstandings of the rules, misunderstandings of player intentions, misunderstandings of character intentions, of how players want to see something play out. Because just because the player personally wanted X does not mean that now that X plus 1 has happened, that they want to completely change from that course. So like they want to play things forward. So like, yeah, you just have all these layers of a mistake is not necessarily a problem. Yes, it's a mistake, but that doesn't make it a problem. And we're really quickly getting to the SendingKenku as I try to come up with phrasing that isn't the pseudo SendingKenku that I have set up. So I guess we're just going to hit it. So, yeah, this is my SendingKenku. When you're discussing a problem, you're not necessarily looking for the solution. I guess I should rephrase that. Undoing. I guess this is a second sending. Oh crap, okay. So, when discussing the solution to a perceived problem, you're not necessarily looking for a solution. Discuss the perception of the problem. because that might be all there is. Yeah, something like that. But yeah, root of it, you're gonna make mistakes. They're not necessarily problems. You just have to talk, and you have to be honest about how you feel. You have to, what is causing you strife may not necessarily be a problem for everyone else, and you can kind of come together to figure that out step by step. Working up. Yes, I'm trying to get to some phrasing that is going to say that you work together step by step up this wonderful stone staircase. Have a lovely